here with Krystine Eppley of Coldwell Banker. We just finished up our interview of Housing for Good, which talks about that intersection of real estate commitment and professional life to community development and supporting wonderful causes in the Tucson area. That information is on housingforgood.com. But when we have you in the chair, we always like to ask this question of successful agents. How on earth do you do this? Because you've been in real estate now for we said 14 years?
It's overall 14 years, licensed for about over six. And I have to share this because I want people to have hope. In the Housing for Good podcast, you let us know. I mean, you knocked it out of the park the first year. What was that first year's check? Less than $1,000.
Okay. But you stuck with it.
Yeah.
You stuck with it. You found a mentor, and things are on the upswing.
Yes.
And you not only are successful in the real estate world, but you're also the president of the Tucson REALTORS Charitable Foundation.
Yes.
Which, again, we talked all about that at Housing for Good, which it's a great organization. And my guess is you spend, 20, 30 minutes a month kind of working out some details and everyone else does all the work?
Couple hours, and then it's 24/7 kind of keeping up with everything.
So the question we always like to ask is how do you balance this out? Because you have other things in your life as well.
Yeah. I'm married. So I have kids. My youngest is 11. My oldest just turned 16. So he's got his driver's license. So struggling to balance that, and then my own business and my clients, and then the foundation and life, So there's a lot of things to juggle. I live off my calendar.
Okay.
Everything is scheduled, planned out, put together.
Personal time too?
Personal time.
Okay.
If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. I try to be as flexible as possible. I try to be available as possible, but if it's not a lifestyle, you have to make it into your lifestyle. It's not like a 9 to 5 where you're just like clock in from this time, clock out from that time. It has to be a part of the way you do your day-to-day activity.
I know a lot of real estate agents that get into this business for the flexibility and that offers, and I get that. A lot of them, they forget the term that they're working for themselves. They forget the working part, and they don't schedule, and they have a sort of a random approach to the day. It might work for some, but I think in general, that's a little challenging to manage all the things that might come at you and just placing them whenever they pop up and just dealing with it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that people see of a luxury. Like, we're out all the time. We're trying to have great events and networking and socializing. That's how we meet people. That's how we work on a referral basis. But in reality, it's a 24/7 job. There's no holiday in real estate. There's no weekend in real estate. You can schedule your time off by trying to, but at the end of the day, what you don't do today can affect your paycheck a month from now. Mm-hmm. So you have to plan ahead months in advance to what you do today and how it's going to affect you in the future. Because if you just sit on the couch today, and you didn't make any phone calls today, you're not making any appointments, you're not putting anything in your pipeline, it's just, you're going to get what you get. You get what you put into it.
Yeah, we see a lot in the real estate and mortgage world. I'm sure other sales sort of oriented positions, this roller coaster where I'm focused so much on solidifying what I've got closing in the near future that I'm not out building that next cycle. And then I get to the point on the go. Okay, I have nothing coming up. We need to focus.
And it happens a lot. I always like to tell people, everybody does their business differently. My business model might be different than someone else's business model. I have a certain goal that I have in mind of what I need to make a living per month, versus some people who just might want to do it as a part-time thing and just help out as they can. I don't see it as like a numbers goal for me. I see it as being available to help people in that situation. Okay. And planning out my business goal is a little different than how some people do. I'm not like a numbers goal-oriented person. I just know what I need to meet to make a living.
And this transition from year one to where you are now, having these decisions to make, was this part of that mentorship that you mentioned? Or how did you get here from there?
So that mentor that I had, I still look up to him daily. Very high success in all things real estate. And the biggest thing that I got from that takeaway working with him is just to find my voice, find who I was, find out how I presented myself to work with people. and how I connected on that level. It wasn't necessarily knowing more on the real estate side of things, learning the contract that just comes with doing what you do. It's just being more confident in the person of who I was and how I was able to help everybody individually. So I basically found my voice, and I was comfortable and confident in who I was to, that shows when you're working with someone, and then they want to work with you at that point. So just being yourself.
Well, the lessons that if you take this back that I think are really important for, especially if you're newer in this business or if you're not achieving what you want, is find someone who is and talk with them. It could be a coach, it could be a mentor, someone that is just kind-hearted, someone that actually mentors for a fee. There are managers within your office or people that have achieved success. And as we've talked about, you might not replicate that or duplicate that, but you can use that as sort of the foundation to find your own.
Yeah. Once you get confident in your paperwork, that's your bread and butter, is knowing what you're supposed to do. Then being yourself and having the confidence and knowing that you know what you're supposed to do. I always try to tell new agents, if you have an opportunity to join a team that's a high producing team, learn and soak in as much as you can, and then leave the nest. Branch out. Do your own thing. And it's the same thing with any other job or position. You don't know what you don't know. So if you're going into a job, you go through your training, you go through your basics, you figure out how to talk to people, your scripts, whatever it looks like for that sort of position. And then you just turn it into your own. You're not recreating the wheel. You're just putting your own flair on things.
If people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I'm everywhere. Not a secret agent. They can call me, email me, text me, find me on social media. My TikTok is not like anything.
What's your social media preference? Where do you do most of your posting?
A lot of my stuff will be under hashtag of Sweet Deals with Krystine.
Sweet Deals with Krystine.
Yes. And I do a lot of Facebook,
with a K.
Instagram. Yes. And a Y.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sweet Deals with Krystine. Appreciate you taking your time. Again, maybe check out the Housing for Good podcast that talks about your efforts and the REALTOR Charitable Foundation's efforts within our community. And really appreciate you spending a little bit more time to talk about your transition success and maybe inspire someone else to find their path.
I'd love to help. Thank you.